All right, bud.
There we go. Morning.
Morning. Well, afternoon on my end.
Afternoon. Yeah.
How you doing?
Good. Yeah. Just things are moving like
Yeah.
always.
Hey, have you used any of these new AI browsers? Have you tried out either Comet or
Comment
Dia?
or yeah. Not yet because I saw you had to buy their. I think it was like the $200 a month thing or something.
Yeah, so I haven't tried out Comet yet for that reason. I'm hoping that they eventually reach out to me and say, "Hey, you want to try this for free?" Because that's how usually I get to try like the really like overpriced, like super, expensive stuff. But I did try Dia, which is, have you heard of Arc before?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so they created a browser called Dia that's like AI first. I'm
Mm.
actually doing a video on it because I got to play around with it for a few weeks now. And it feels like what Chrome should be because
Mm.
Chrome obviously has the backing of Google and all of Google's fun AI tools and things like that. But with Dia, they integrate it so well and so natively to the browser where it just feels so easy to use. Like it's not perfect, but so to give you an example, there's a chat bar on every single, like you can click to open up a chat bar. So you can just immediately start, talking with the AI. So if you're reading an article, if you're on like a YouTube or watching a YouTube page, you could just say like, hey, like, give me a transcript of this or give me a summary of the transcript of this YouTube video or what are the key points I should know about this article. Um, and it makes it a lot easier because I've found myself, and I don't know, you can tell me if you do this too, where you're constantly either copying and pasting things into ChatGPT or taking screenshots and going over to ChatGPT. I do that all the time. And so Dia makes that friction, it kind of removes that friction and makes it a lot easier to actually like, use the AI
Yeah.
natively.
Yeah. I use screenshots so much. Like even I wonder if it's still an issue. Yeah. I had this like script where because I don't know, and I hate how Mac OS does this sometimes, where it just like changes things without you telling it to change things. But I used to have it to where every screenshot would go to a specific folder,
Yeah.
named in a certain way, and like yesterday that just completely broke. So now like all my screenshots are all over. Like, it's so annoying.
Yeah,
But
I should do that because my desktop is just cluttered with like garbage.
yeah, and that was one of the main reasons why is because yeah, the default there. I forget how I did it. Yeah, that honestly that should be that's a good video I should make honestly.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, because a lot of people do that where they're taking screenshots and then they're throwing it into ChatGPT and it's just
yeah.
like, and then your desktop is just cluttered with just garbage. And then every week I'm like, okay, now I have to dedicate like 20, like at least 15 minutes to scrolling through my desktop and being like, all right, click, drag, move that over to trash.
Yep. But
I
back
was,
to the AI side of things, have you used in Chrome the Gemini button in the top right?
no, I haven't. Maybe I even need to update my Chrome to get it. Where is it?
So yeah, maybe you need to update Chrome, but essentially there's this little. I'll share my screen.
Yeah, I'm the
There's
worst at
a
updating things, and I'm also the worst at turning off my computer. My computer has basically been on since I bought it months ago.
I I had to restart mine this morning because of that screenshot issue. I was like, did they do something messed up? Like what? But anyway, so now like in Chrome, there's the Gemini button in the top right hand corner of the screen, and if you click it, it knows what page it's on already.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I definitely need to update my Chrome because I do not have that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, like I would love to see more of Google's AI actually baked into Chrome
Hmm.
rather than just search because I feel like they focus way too much on how can we just integrate AI into search as much as possible and as I don't know if you use Google AdWords but on the agency side of things and the client side of things, like they're trying to push as much AI into Google Ads as well.
Hmm.
But I would love for it like Chrome to get a complete makeover, because what they've done with Dia is pretty awesome. Like, I don't know if you use Gmail, right? So like when you're in Gmail, one of the auto feature or auto AI response features that they have in Chrome is they just give you like a pre-selected like 3 or 4 like responses, right? And you can kind of click on it and it'll just automatically put it into your response. I don't really like that because like sometimes like I do appreciate that they read my response and then they kind of, or they read the thread and they know like how to actually respond. But sometimes it doesn't sound like me, or they're just saying incorrect things, like they're responding in a positive affirmation. And when it's like, it should be more of like, I'm saying no. But like, anyway, so with Dia, you can open up your Gmail, chat with the AI, and say, just give it some notes and be like, hey, respond to this email. And it basically do what you do in ChatGPT. Like, I'm always finding myself copying emails over to ChatGPT and then being like, respond in this way. So that way it, I don't have to use that mental load of like figuring out, okay, this is how I should structure it and this is how I should say it. And with Dia, it's like super, super easy because you're already on that page. You just tell it what you want. And then once you can like tweak it in the chat. And then once you find an email that you like, once it writes something you like, there's a little button under it that just says insert. And it just like automatically goes over and copies and pastes it into the email. It makes it a lot easier. There's like a bunch of those little tiny things that they've done, I think, really well. But I don't know if they're going to win the browser wars. Like, I think there really is going to be an AI browser war, because if you think about it, that's really the next place where they can capture the most amount of our data, because that's where we spend the most amount of our time, right? So if they can, all these AI companies like OpenAI is coming out with one, Google is obviously in the lead, but like that's where they're going to be able to capture more information about us to be able to personalize ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever it is, so that we're kind of locked in to that walled garden. That's at least my thought. And I think Comet seems to be the one that people are like really, really kind of gung-ho over because it has agents. So you can essentially tell it like, hey, I have a Teams meeting. I have a Teams meeting in 15 minutes. I need you to log in for me. I need you to make sure that my camera's not in. And then if anyone ever says like, hey, do you have anything to add, Dan? Just comment, like write in the chat, say, no, I'm all good. Like I saw someone say that they did that on X today or Twitter. And I was like, that's kind of amazing, but also kind of scary, but also makes sense with like AI agents and how we're essentially going to be able to send out agents to do the work for us.
Yeah. I think, well, there's a few things. I think the first thing is that the way that we are all interacting to find data is changing fundamentally. I spend more time in AI chat windows than I do browsing individual websites now.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think as things progress, people like kids that are 8, 10, 11 years old right now that are going to grow up with that user interface are not going to even want to use a traditional browser at all, where it goes to individual websites, which then changes how like all that data is collected. And one of the things that I always kind of was joking around when I was doing the ads agency, telling people and telling clients like, oh yeah, Meta and Google they have so much data on us. Like Meta has, I forget, there was a number that I like, a couple 100,000 data points on every like person based off of all their social media networks and everything. And then I was like, but just for comparison, Google has like a few million.
Yeah.
And Google, I think, is one of those companies that everyone has thought has kind of been down and out or like is being beaten by OpenAI. But they're the original. They're like one of the only, they bought DeepMind in what, like 2014 or something, or 2011 or something like that,
Yeah.
and had I mean, and that's why YouTube has worked so well for all these years, is because they implemented those AI features into learning what types of videos that we're looking for. All that being said, is like I'm not counting out Google yet at all, because
Yeah,
I
me
think
neither.
that they are the leaders, even if they're not the ones like releasing all the new products. And I think that's where you and I get caught up on all these things, because we see all these threads and people are like, oh, here's the latest and greatest, and here's the newest thing. And yes, these things are really cool and they have cool features, but what's the retention after release versus something like a Chrome adding those features in eventually? Like that Gemini edition came out maybe a week, 2 weeks ago, and I've just now started like leveraging it more, but it's still kind of in the background of functionality in general.
Yeah, I mean I agree with you on the data piece. I think a lot of people have counted out or like underestimated Google for some reason, but
Yeah.
their products, if you look at it like a 50,000-foot view, look at all the products that they have. Gemini 2.5 Pro is amazing. Like I use it as much as I use like ChatGPT. VO3 is by far the best AI video generator. They have one of the best AI image generators, Image Gen. So like they're like at the top, and they're also releasing a bunch of coding tools as well. Gemini CLI, like they, for some reason, I guess maybe it's like a PR thing, or like, they've just been around for so long that people just automatically just be like, oh, okay, Google, they're just the ads, they're just the search. But like they have so much data and they've been in the game for so long, and they have Chrome. So they have a massive, massive market share where they just make a single update to Chrome and they can wipe out Dia. They can wipe out all these other, like Perplexity's Comet. If they just, one day wake up and say, okay, we're going to add in agents, or we're going to add in, some of these other features, it's like they're gone because people are so used to using those products. As well as like, I think it also brings up an interesting conversation around Facebook and kind of what they're doing by paying exorbitant amounts of money to essentially acquire people from other mainly OpenAI. And it's really interesting because I've thought a lot about this, and that I respect Mark Zuckerberg in terms of what he's trying to build, but I also look at my day to day and I look at other people using AI, and I don't really know anyone that's using Meta AI products other than like, some people that have the Meta Ray-Bans, which are cool. And I do see the future of those types of products, but I don't know people using like any Meta AI products. Whereas on the other hand, people are using ChatGPT and Gemini and Claude all the time.
Yeah, Llama had its moment, but they haven't released a new model or a new version of that in a long time.
Yeah.
Um,
But that
the
said, Facebook does have a lot of data, right? So,
Yeah.
and in this game that everyone's playing, it's come down to who has the most amount of data and different data points, and then how can you best leverage that data. I mean, it's one of the reasons why, I don't know if you followed the Reddit drama where they used to have, like, I believe it was just an open API, right? Anyone can essentially connect to their API and then either create apps that were like, different versions, not different versions of Reddit, but like allowed you to like do different things with on Reddit. And then they shut it down because I think they saw the writing on the wall and they were like, hey, everyone's using our API to get this free data. We're not making anything. And oh, by the way, AI is like about to rear its head. We have essentially a gold mine of user generated content. And so I think moving into like where we are right now, data is essentially the gold of today's age,
Yeah.
right?
Twitter and X
Because
did the same thing.
yeah, and it's powering, how these AI models work. And I think like Elon, say what you will about him, but like him buying X or Twitter at the time, like it almost was perfect timing because now he can use all that data to then fund or not fund, but to inform Grok. And like that Twitter data is like say what you will about Twitter, but like you can still get up to the date incredible information from Twitter because that's where people go for the source, for getting information directly from the people at the exact time when
Yeah.
something happens.
It still is that place. Like that place has not been that go-to medium to find up to date, as it's happening information is there's no other platform still that has that.
No, still, yeah. I mean, it's funny, like even after all the drama that went down, they still are the number one place for that. And
Yeah.
so it's interesting to see how all of these different companies, whether it's Gemini, or OpenAI or, Grok, have all taken the information that they have and leveraged it to build their own, own AIs.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever used the Shift app or the Shift browser?
I've heard about it. No, what is it?
So it's funny because it's also a Chromium based platform or browser, same as Arc and Dia, or like everything's based on Chromium.
Based,
which is
yeah.
interesting. It's kind of funny. Shift app is more of like it is a browser, but it's mainly for like creating instances of different applications in one area. So for example, like I'll have 3 different Slack team workspaces, and there's just little icons for each workspace that I can click, and I don't have to like re-log in or log out, then log back in or re-authenticate or click. I don't have to do like 4 clicks in order to get to another version of it.
Oh, interesting.
So it's essentially like if it was a Chrome tab as like an instance of a Chrome tab, but it's just like a static application that's sitting there always. And I can do
Interesting.
that with basically any application or any website.
Oh, interesting. So do you find yourself using that more often, like, or do you use Chrome?
So I use Chrome. So like my normal workflow is I'll have the Shift app is probably the number one like update and change in the last year. I've been using it probably for 2 years now, and it's gotten progressively worse or progressively better in some ways and slightly worse in other ways. But I still use it all the time because I don't want to have Discord open, Slack open, all of my Gmail tabs open. Like I'd like to have my Chrome browser
Yeah.
be more specific to the data and the information that I'm like currently working on.
Yeah, I gotta download that because I'm very similar where I have like a million different tabs open that
Yeah.
it's just like doesn't make sense to have them all open.
Yeah. So like I have all my different emails at the top, and then I have my calendars, my Slack, my Discords, and that's mainly it. So it's like kind of like my communication hub,
Sure,
where
sure.
like all the stuff that I need to respond to is in this one place, and then I don't need to go in a lot of different directions to find new information or find stuff that I need to respond to.
Interesting. Yeah, I gotta check that out. Yeah, I saw you were are you a runner?
I wouldn't say I'm a runner, but I do run.
Yeah, okay. So I saw something on your Instagram and I was like, okay, in the back of my mind I was like, I gotta ask him if he's like a runner. Do you do like long distance or anything like that, or you just kind of pick it up? Like do you go to group stuff, like group runs and things like that?
Yeah. My friends started a run club here in Vegas, and they like before they started it, they were kind of like my only friends in the city.
Yeah, yeah.
It was still like I was in like hermit mode, but yeah, they started it, and I've gained like so many great friends through that group, and now I just go like tonight. We do every other Tuesday is track night, and so we go to the UNLV track and do like a track workout, And my goal is just to like try to finish it. Like I'm not trying to.
So what's the goal? Like, do they say, okay, we're all going to do 5 miles or something like that?
The track workouts are can be very different. Like
Okay.
they'll like there's a couple people that did track in high school or college, and so they know kind of like certain track workouts where, you know, run 100 meters at 50%, then another 100 at 80%, and
Oh, okay.
then 90-second break, and then do that for 20 minutes, and
Oh, okay.
then
Yeah.
yeah, and then Saturdays we do easy runs, which is 2 to 4 miles, and it's just nice to like get up and be active. And I look at it as an excuse to be social.
Yeah.
So it's very similar to like my pickleball group, where I love pickleball way more than I like running because it's
No one likes running.
no one likes
Only
well, yeah,
psychopaths like running.
exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I go more for like the social aspect and like to go to like cool, you know, get some unique food afterwards with people or grab a coffee afterwards and meet new people and
That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. I heard I used to live in Hoboken, and right as we were kind of leaving, or right before, run clubs started becoming like really really popular. And it was like a really good way to like meet people. I knew that like I knew a bunch of like single people would always go to meet other people,
yeah.
especially in like Hoboken and like the New York City area. But one of the reasons I brought it up because I saw you running when you posted something on Instagram. I got into running randomly a few years ago, and like David Goggins and like all those crazy like ultra runners.
Hmm.
So when he was starting to like rise in popularity, I was like, "Oh, this sounds amazing!" Like this guy, like he's talking about like like killing his ego and like going out there and running for hours at a time. I was like, this is amazing. This is exactly what I want because I had just moved to where I am now. I had bought this house, and I was like, we have this beautiful like kind of nature area behind my house where you can kind of run or walk. We take our dog out there, and I was like, this is great. I'm going to start running. And I set this goal for myself where I was like, on my 32nd birthday, I'm going to run 32 miles. And this, mind you, this was not like a year before my 32nd birthday. This was like 3 months before my 32nd birthday, or maybe even 2 months because it was like spring and my birthday is in the summer.
Hmm.
And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And I kind of like set it up in my mind. I was like, all right, so I'm going to do, I'm going to just work my way up and I'm going to do like 1 mile. And then I'm going to do 5 miles. The next, like every day is going to be 5 miles. And then I'm going to be doing 10 miles. And so, I mean, first it was insane. Like you don't just jump into going from like a mile to like 10 miles. So like I bit off way more than I could chew. And then by like a week or two before I was supposed to be doing this, you're not supposed to be running like 20 miles before you're supposed to be running 32 miles. In fact, you're supposed to be like tapering off so that your body is actually ready to run that 32 miles. So I'm running and I'm thinking of it like, oh, okay, I'm going to slowly make my way up to 32 miles and then I'll be able to do it. And so I'm running like, 20 miles a day, not 20 miles a day, but like, I'll work my way up to like 20, 25 miles. So I'm essentially running like a marathon the week right before I'm supposed to be, running 32 miles. On the day of, I wake up 5 a.m. and for the next 8 hours, I want to say it was like 6 to 8 hours. I ran the entire day on my birthday. And mind you, my wife thought I was crazy. Like she was like, you want to spend your birthday running 32 miles? Like, okay. And so, but she was actually like great about it. Like she set up like a little base camp. She bought like this little like kiddie pool and filled it with like ice so that like I could just jump in it when I like was about like felt like I was gonna die. And so I made it. Like I made it the 32 miles, and then I went to go take a shower, and I just passed out. Like I just like caught myself in the shower. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But that's all to say. I guess the point of that was there was no point of that. It was more of just like I'm
you're
crazy.
one of those psychopaths.
Yeah. I love just kind of like picking something weird or something crazy. I'm also super stubborn, so I'm like, oh, if they can do it, I could probably do it. Like, whereas
have you
like
ever
I
done,
probably
like,
shouldn't have that gene, whatever that is, because like it might get me killed someday.
Yeah. Have you ever done like an actual marathon race?
No. Before that, I had never done anything like that. I probably should because like now I know like mentally I can do it.
Yeah. Are you still conditioned?
Yeah, I run every morning. I'll run like between 2 to 3 miles. Yeah, I look at it more as, and it's like a run, like I'm jogging. It's more of, I look at it as like a way to wake myself up because after I run whenever I'm like, especially if it's in like that like 2 to 3 mile range, I'm like I have energy. It's kind of like it's cleared everything out of my system, especially when I wake up. So that way, like I can just get right to my work rather than waiting for the caffeine to kick in. Like, makes things a lot easier.
Yeah. I'm in a not in the best routine right now where I've been staying up way too late and then not waking up early, not going to the gym in the morning. And then for Vegas, it's too hot to like do anything past a
Right.
certain time. So then I'm going to the gym at like 8 or 9 p.m. But then that throws my whole, like that continues the cycle.
Yeah, it's very hard to fall asleep. Oh, well, at least for me, it's very hard to fall asleep when you have worked out that late. So I can never, and I think they've done studies on this, is when you work out and then you try to go to sleep, you don't sleep as well because your heart rate's up. Like it just is very hard. So I'll try to go like right around like 5:36, or I'll try to go in the morning.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, but it's tough. Like waking up now, and it's just I'm like I look at my phone, and then I'm like, okay, I just have to start responding to messages and people and team members that have been waiting for responses, and it's just like like
Yeah, and then at the end of the day, you're like you want like a second to yourself. So you stay up a little bit. I remember, I mean, I used to do that when I was starting my business and I was living in Hoboken. I was living kind of like a crappy little apartment. I was like, yeah. And I was on my own. I was finally making some money. And I was like, I'm just going to stay up. I'll just work until like, 7 or 8 and then, or even like 10 or 11. And then I'll stay up until like 11 or 12. And then I'll repeat the cycle. I'll get up at like 10 o'clock in the morning.
yeah.
But, you can do that because you're a bachelor and you own your own business.
That is the nice, the nice piece, being able to do that, or like travel. Like I'm traveling this weekend to San Diego
Oh, nice.
and just going to hang out with some family, and then possibly go to Comic-Con for one day, which would be fun.
Oh, I've always wanted to go to Comic-Con.
So yeah, that'll be interesting. But yeah,
Have you been
shifting
seeing?
gears.
Yeah, no, I was gonna just say I don't know. I was gonna just bring up if you've seen any of these like AI UGC creators.
Like what?
So there are some people are using either it's got to be one of the higher end models, image generation models that I don't know what it is specifically, but they're essentially creating these fake personas of usually women, and they are kind of catfishing people that don't know that they are AI generated because the consistency level is really good because they can get the faces to look all the same on all the different photos on Instagram. And there was this one, I forget her name, but she essentially catfished some like a lot, like hundreds of thousands of people, got hundreds of thousands of followers, and they weren't like all like just random people. A lot of them were blue check marks, like legit people that were commenting, being like, "Oh, like you look so beautiful," and I like, and it's really got me thinking, like, what does the future of social media look like when everyone kind of realizes they can do that? Like, there's a 0.1% of people kind of realize, oh, I can go on to whether it's Midjourney or whether it's even ChatGPT, generate images, find consistency across these different faces, and then post and create like these fake personas.
One of the things that like always brings me back down to earth is when I go to Run Club and I try to talk to people about certain things like in our bubble, and how no one has any idea about anything I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's interesting because I think in our bubble, like we think that this is like, oh, this is everybody's going to be doing this, or it's like I've seen that kind of a lot of times where like, oh, I feel like I'm so late to the party and everyone's like, I've missed it, you know.
Right.
But in reality, it's such a small bubble that we're in, and I think the amount of them overall will increase, of people doing that method of creating AI people to promote products that then get brand deals and things like that. Same thing, kind of like with the faceless videos, but I think like there will be a point where it's not saturated, but it'll be like, oh, that's just another one of those like AI people, but
I don't
it's
know.
becoming harder
I
and
mean,
harder
yeah.
to tell.
Well, exactly. I think again, we're like just at the beginning of the race. I feel like you play it out over the next 6 to 12 months, and it's going to get exponentially harder for, even me. Like, even sometimes I'm like, wait, is that AI? Like, it looks really good. And sometimes, even with the AI generated videos, sometimes I'm like, wow, like beyond VO3, like there are some AI video models that, like Kling 2.1 is extremely good. Like it is really, really good at capturing a lot of that realism. And so I just play it out and I say, okay, well, there are people out there that will figure this out, and the cost will eventually come down to a point where it's like, okay, financially this makes sense because I can create one of these accounts. I know that I'll get X amount of impressions, and then I can go to brands, do brand deals, or I can, sell my own products or whatever. I think AI influencers are slept on because I think that's kind of the next wave of social, is we're going to be inundated with AI influencers. And I don't know what it's going to look like, because I look at what happened with like the Bigfoot vlogs, right? Where those kind of like, it was like this big trend, right? But like the thing with the Bigfoot vlogs was there was no moat around the actual like Bigfoot, right? Because one person created a Bigfoot video, and then you'd get dozens of copycats like creating their own Bigfoot videos where Bigfoot's, singing, or Bigfoot's with Yeti or whoever. And so is that going to happen where it's going to fragment, or, are people going to be able to create certain or AI influencers that have that aren't going to be able to be replicated, and I don't even know what that looks like.
I mean, I've told other traditional creative people that these are the people that are going to be most successful in this space, because like essentially anybody can see the Bigfoot video and then prompt Bigfoot and it doesn't have to look the exact same, but it is like it gets the idea across. And like people that are actually creative can come up with cool stuff that is unique, that is, I think, going to be less easy to replicate. But I think it also brings up how YouTube announced that they're going to demonetize AI content.
What I say about that is good luck.
Well, yeah, and I think Harper Carroll came out with a video talking about that, where she was saying like, yeah, they might be able to figure that out now, but I think at a certain point it's going to be nearly impossible to figure that out. That being said, like, and this is like that ping pong effect of back and forth. Like, that being said, if there was a company to be able to figure that out, it would be Google and YouTube to be able to know, what is real and what's not real. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
I,
It's
I don't know. I mean, I know that they've thought about, doing some type of like watermark to be able to. But listen, like so the Chinese models are really good, and that's what scares people. And like once we get more open source models out there, and once the hardware gets better, so Apple comes out with their next gen AI NVIDIA powered AI focused MacBook, and then all of a sudden everyone's buying these new MacBooks or whatever it is, and now all of a sudden it goes from, okay, well, we don't have to pay for subscriptions anymore. We could just use open source models because all of our hardware is good enough to run these amazing, open source models. And now it's basically free. And when you're getting these open source models, like they might not have to adhere by, watermarks or anything like that. So I think that's when we're going to see this be inundated by all this AI content. But another thing that I have found, and I don't know if you've seen this, but what people are starting to do on TikTok with AI generated content is they will find a TikTok that went viral, and they will take the audio and then they will copy it over and run it through 11 labs. They will change the voice, and then they will run it through an AI. Have you seen those AI green screens where it's like, when a normal person is talking and doing content, and then they have the green screen behind them, and then they're talking kind of in the bottom of it, and being like, so they'll create an AI version of that where they'll take that audio from 11 Labs and have the person in the green screen actually saying it. So you're not really focusing on that person. And so that way, if their lips don't move perfectly, it's fine. Like you won't really notice it, or they kind of glitch out or whatever. But it's scary because they've lined them up. I've seen videos where they line up the viral video to the actual other video of the AI generated one. And it's word for word. It is like cadence for cadence, and they're getting tons of views. So I think people are going to find out sneaky ways to kind of get around things. And that's kind of I think the tip of the iceberg of strategies I think people are going to use to create content on social media for the sake of getting views.
Of all the content creators out there, what percentage of people do you think will go down that path?
I mean, if you play it out, all you have to do to create one of those is you create an automation that searches for videos on TikTok over X amount of views and getting in certain topics or niches and getting X amount of engagement. And then you download the or the audio from TikTok, you run it through the 11 Labs API, then you run that through, whatever, any number. There's dozens and dozens of those types of AI generated social content, apps. And all of a sudden you have now a factory of those churning out content. I don't know, but even if it is, let's say 0.01%, but then you have a handful of guys or gals creating content in a factory just for the sake of getting views, it could get kind of crazy.
Yeah. Do you think people in our group chat would do that?
No. But I do think we would be at risk of having people do that to us. I've had people create, I've had people just literally just take my script and then cut out my top half of my video of all the B-roll of me talking about certain things or demoing, a product, and then just read my script. I've shared that with you. And if someone could do that at a scale where they're just okay, well, Dan posted a video, got 100,000 views, and so let's just let the AI do the same thing. You know what I mean? And I don't know if we're protected from that yet. I think the only thing holding people back is one, they don't necessarily know how to do it. Two, it's not really that easy to set it up right now. And three, there's like a financial component, right? In terms of like it costs, a dollar or 50 cents or however much to transcribe. And then, you got to run that through an API that then, creates the video. And that's like 75 cents or, what have you. So, I don't know. I mean, right now, I'm not super worried about it. I'm just more thinking like 6 to 12 months from now.
Yeah. I found somebody DM me a creator, well, an account that made an AI version. Like they took my profile picture and had ChatGPT like remake it so it looks like me, but it's not me.
That's amazing.
And that's their profile picture. And then they're just now copying all my videos. And one of the ones, like one of my meme videos, they directly copied and they've gotten millions of views on it. And it's just like and I reported it. Nothing happened.
They don't do anything. Is this on Instagram or TikTok?
This is Instagram, yeah.
Wow, okay. That's bold of them. I mean, on TikTok, we deal with that kind of stuff all the time. Like people will literally just take my profile picture, take everything, put up a bunch of the videos. The videos will actually do well, and then they'll start like just chatting with people that follow me and being like, "Hey, do you want to invest in crypto?"
Yeah,
it's like
that's so annoying.
That is the worst. It's like, why won't they do anything about that?
Yeah, and then I've gotten DMs being like, "Oh, I just sent this. I sent you like $300 and
oh no,
in
I haven't gotten
Ethereum
that
or something," and I'm like, I would never DM you first for anything. Like,
yeah,
I remember it's not so much an issue now, I guess, as it was maybe like a year or 2 years ago. I also put like such heavy restrictions on banning words in certain comments.
Yeah, me
Certain words
too.
in comments to try to like lower that, like, but it's like it's a no-win uphill battle that we're never going to win. There's more of them than there are of us, and
Right. Yeah, it's really up to the platforms to do something about that because we can't. Like legitimately cannot keep up with that.
Yeah.
And so I hope people also kind of like mentally kind of prepare themselves for that because it's going to be that times like 100,000 when like people figure out the AI piece. But I do think that the platforms will eventually be like, okay, we do need to figure out something to like deal with this. It's funny how everyone's kind of going about AI. Like there are some platforms that like LinkedIn has like, I don't know if you've been on LinkedIn recently, but like they have like auto generated replies that like if you see something, you could just click like yeah, and it'll just be like, thanks for sharing, John, or whatever. Or like, wow, this is a really interesting post about blah, 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 blah. And it's like, dude, doesn't that just take out like, like at what point is like my AI just going to be, typing, on LinkedIn, which brings up another kind of interesting topic. There are, I don't know if you've seen these AI only social media apps. So you join and you can post whatever you want and you'll get comments from AI, like other AIs, but they'll be like legitimate, like, accounts. And so people are joining, people are actually paying to join these apps, like on a monthly recurring basis. And it's almost for the validation. You know what I mean? It kind of like feeds the ego a little bit of like, okay, like I posted something and I got, 100 likes or 1,000 likes. Whereas if, I posted something on Instagram today, like, oh, I'd only get like 1 like. It's kind of crazy. It's interesting to see how it's playing out. You'd think that something like that would just never take off. Like who in their right mind would do that? But then, there are people out there.
I never really believed in the whole dead internet theory, but I see it now. Like now it's becoming a thing. Like AI generated people, AI generated comments, like it's all AI talking to other AI.
Yeah, which is why I'm like I'm a huge proponent of like I'm a huge proponent of World. You've heard of World before. It's they called it WorldsCoin before, but
Oh
now it's
yeah.
just Worlds. You scan your eyeball. Not just that, but like any type of version of that where a human being has to be validated and they essentially have a driver's license or an internet license or an internet passport that says, hey, I'm actually a real person and I can go from site to site without being like hindered or like, you can trust that I'm actually a legitimate person. Because if we don't have that, like if we don't have the blue check mark for the internet, what's stopping people from being like, all right, I'm just going to generate a million AI agents and just run them out there and just create a ton of content. And all I need is one of them to get millions of views. And then I just made, $1,000 in, ad revenue or, whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah. The movies of the early aughts are becoming reality.
Yeah, feels like it.
Yeah.
I know we usually talk about all the like good like stuff with AI,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's good to like also like kind of look at like it from both sides and just be like, hey, this is what we should prepare for, or like just kind of just be mindful of, because there are people out there that just they're like, oh, I can tell the difference between a real image and an AI generated one, and now it's like, no, you can't anymore.
Yeah. Well, I think that's also important too for people like us to talk about these things. Like, I made a video last week where I was talking about kind of like the struggles of being a business owner and how like no one really talks about those things on social media. But we all, even from my point of view, it's like all the stuff I see is success and money and the wins, but I know for a fact that like in person when I talk to other business owners, like everyone does have that common struggle, or they've been through the ringer, or they're putting out fires on a daily basis. Like that is one of those. Oh, I know you're doing real stuff if you have also gone through that.
Yeah, 100%.
And no one talks about that stuff because it's not
It's not
sexy
sexy,
or
yeah.
fun and cool, but I think a lot of people, a lot of people engaged with that in a way that I wasn't expecting. That maybe they sent me a DM or a comment or something like that, like, "Oh, this is like nice to hear that someone else is going through it." And I think that's from us who are the proponents of AI and as like a general technology. Like it's also good for us to kind of be like, "Oh yeah, there are maybe some some downsides to this that."
Yeah, yeah.
We don't
No,
want
I
to
kind
talk
of like
about.
I kind of pigeonholed myself because the name of my channel
Yeah,
is It's Better with AI. I still believe that on like I still believe AI is a net positive.
Yeah.
But because the name of my channel is It's Better with AI, people are like, people will say something about like something and then be like, it's not better. It's actually not better with the AI. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, you don't even know. I've like heard that a million times. Like, I want to be like, okay, congratulations, dude. Like, you're not the first person to say that.
Have you ever thought about just like going to your name?
Well, it is my name, but then the handle is It's Better with AI. And like I thought about like so to go way back, I started It's Better with AI.com as a way to be a directory, because I was like, it was like a year or two ago, and I was like, oh, well, there's all these AI tools coming out all of a sudden. Like there should be a way to like, organize all these so that people like kind of can, figure out, which one's good, which one's bad, and then they can vote on them. And kind of, I tried to make it like a Reddit or like a product hunt or whatever. But then I realized, oh, there's like dozens of other sites that do this. And by the way, they're not only better, but like they have way more traction. And so it's like, so then I kind of had to pivot, and I was like, okay, well, let me start just talking about AI content on social media, because I had all this experience from, doing all this research on AI tools. And so I just used the same name, and I was like, I'll just use this and I'll create a brand around it. And
Smart.
so like there are pros and cons to that, right? Because it's like now I'm kind of pigeonholed into that, but it's also like I can now build something kind of bigger than that. And if I were to ever sell it, it's now okay. It's under the It's Better with AI brand rather than the Dan Scalco brand.
Yeah.
There are pros and cons. You know, it's
Yeah.
I also too want people to know exactly what they're getting when they come to my channel or whatever. Like it's you know, it's AI content, and I do take like an optimistic approach. That was kind of the thought process too. Is like when I was creating the channel, everyone was freaking out because people were, especially in like the media, because it was like AI is gonna, and they, you know, we're still kind of freaking out about this, about AI is gonna take everyone's jobs and blah blah blah. Everyone was like scared of AI, whereas I had all this knowledge and I was like, this AI can make your life 1,000 times easier if you know how to utilize these tools. So I was like, I'm gonna be the optimist. I'm gonna be the positive and the sunshine in the clouds.
Yeah.
So that way, you know, people, and I think that's actually helped me a bit because like I think people are inundated with like all the negative sides, and then they kind of have me where I'm like smiling and I'm like, hey, you could do this with AI, you could do that. And so I just kind of made it part of the brand.
Nice. I mean, yeah, I'm always kind of in that mindset too. Like it's, if you think about the negative and you dwell on the negative, like it's no wonder that you're negative and depressed. Like,
Yeah,
like
it's
why,
it's
why
never
would you
as bad.
choose?
Yeah, it's never as bad as you think it will be, and it's also never as good as you think it'll be. Like I think
Yeah.
someone said that a while ago, some like famous person. I was like, that's accurate.
Yeah.
Like,
I used to be ecom Ross when I was doing e-commerce, and then when I started talking more about websites, even before the AI gold rush, I was like, oh, I need to kind of move away slightly from ecom, and I was just like, I'll just use my normal profile, but
yeah, why not? I mean, listen, I think that's actually a great way to do it. I think you have a stronger connection with people, and at the end of the day, it's just a handle. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
yeah.
cool. Any content recommendations for the week?
Well, my content recommendation was going to be recommending to people to download Dia. Download one of these AI browsers. You don't have to go out and spend a bunch of money on Comet. But I think this is the next wave of where we're heading with AI, is where it's going to start getting integrated directly into where we are all the time, and not just in like, oh, you know, Google has automatic replies with AI, but in that, you know, wherever you are on the internet, you then can use an AI to do X task. Dia is a great kind of starting point. It's free. It works really well. There's a bunch of non-AI like little features in there. Like it has split screen, so you can drag a tab from one tab to another, which I love, by the way. Cool. So you could have, hypothetically, if you wanted to do this, you could have ChatGPT open in one tab and then have, you know, let's say a Google Doc open in the other, so you could go back and forth. Or if you're like wanted to watch something and take notes, you could have that rather than, you know, having them on two separate windows and then aligning the windows. It makes it's a great little feature. I wish that more browsers had that little feature.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely I'll have to check that out. Mine would be if you haven't already, check out the Claude connectors. I was playing around with that and playing with Canva, the Canva one, and it's pretty cool. Like I haven't figured out how to like perfect it yet, but it's so easy to just connect the two things together and then you prompt Claude to generate a full design in Canva that you can then go and edit. And
that's
always
awesome.
Been something I've been looking for, and a lot of other applications have built that as that's their main thing.
Right.
But now I would never use any of those because now it's just in my Canva thing where all my stuff is in Canva.
Yeah, it's funny how Claude is kind of, they have a lot of those little features where it's just like, why don't other apps have this? Or like, it's just they've done a lot of things like that really well. And I remember playing around with connectors when it first rolled out, and you know, even just being able to connect like your calendar to Claude and be like, hey, like, schedule this for whatever, and it just goes out and does it. You can
Yeah.
connect, like, there are a ton of things you can connect these
There's
days.
so many now. Yeah.
And I think that's the future. Like, that's kind of, and we didn't even get into this. We get into this next time, but the ChatGPT's agent, like, that's kind of what they were going with. This is like, now you could just this is what I think the future of AI is. You tell the AI to do the thing, and it does the thing with zero manual oversight. Like, right now, we are essentially still manually kind of going in and be like, okay, copy, paste, bring this over here. Or, okay, thank you for this. Like, now I can do X. Or, like, but with Claude's new MCP's connectors, or, agent mode, it just takes that friction. It takes the friction away almost.
It removes us as the human blocker.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely check out that.
Right on. Cool. Well, thanks
All right.
everyone for watching, and see you guys next week.
See ya.